Hey guys, Tony here bringing you another video. So on this one, I do want to address, the recent passing of Lindsey Graham. He was not my favorite politician by any means, but, I grew up listening to him, watching him, and kind of just, just trying to understand what he stood for. And unfortunately, I feel like, going through the Trump era, like a lot of politicians have done, they've kind of, they sold their morals. They sold out to basically an oligarch in a sense. And, like when most people pass, you always want to remember the good things that that certain person had to offer. Now, Lindsey Graham, again, was not my favorite politician. He really didn't do a lot for me in terms of, his beliefs. I didn't really believe in a lot of the stuff that he stood for. But again, especially right before, he kind of got bit by the Trump bug, he really stood on what he believed. He had relatively humble beginnings, just how he grew up, things of that nature, having to basically raise his sister when he was still a kid himself. And I feel like his heart, a lot of the times, was in the right place, even if it didn't line up with my beliefs in general or how I saw things. I never thought that he had ill intentions. I just thought he was misinformed, if that makes sense. And, I might be wrong to assume that, because a lot of these people that I thought we just agreed to disagree on certain topics ended up just going full on Trump, like Lindsey Graham did. But again, I like to remember people for what they stood for that actually had to do with their core values, their core beliefs. Now, that being said, I really just think a lot of people that get on board with Trump just end up either regretting it or end up being so scared that even when they distance themselves from Trump, they don't want to say anything bad about him. And, there are a lot of people who I've seen in recent months who have tried to distance themselves from Trump, but they still won't say anything bad about him. And, Lauren Boebert's a good example. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, a lot of these people who will say things, but not necessarily say what they want to say. That just goes to show how much power that Trump still holds in our government in general. And it's unfortunate because politicians, I feel like they have an obligation when they're elected by us to do right by us, if that makes sense. So a lot of these people are literally just looking out for themselves, watching their own rear end, when they should be looking out for the American people and standing up for their constituents. And again, I find it unfortunate that we're in this day and age in 2026, whether you're talking about Democrats, Republicans, people are so afraid to stand up for their core beliefs. So if I think that I'm a liberal or whatever, if Joe Biden ruined the American economy, if he ran up the deficit, if he didn't do what he promised, who am I to be like, oh, well, that's not what he said he was going to do, or just basically flip-flop on every issue that I held dear. Good example would be the Trumpers and the Epstein files. As soon as Trump said, hey, why are y'all worried about the Epstein files? Everyone who was literally up in arms during the Biden administration about the Epstein files, all of a sudden they're saying, hey, you all need to drop it. It makes no sense to me. And this is why our politics are probably the worst in the world. We will stand behind a person we don't know before we stand behind our own values, our own beliefs. And I just, it's sickening when you think about it, because if you're anti-abortion, cool. But if you say you're pro-life, you can't be for pro-life for someone that's not born yet, that's in someone else's womb. And then when it comes to children starving in America, you say it's the parents' fault, or they don't need government assistance, or they just need to work harder. Things like that, that doesn't add up. That doesn't line up at all. And it's so frustrating to deal with this on a regular basis. This hypocrisy that comes from the conservative party, that comes from the Republicans, that comes from the Trumpers. Whenever things work out in their favor, or it kind of works in the lens they want to see things through, all of a sudden they want to think X, Y, Z. And then when the shoe's on the other foot, they just either close their eyes to it, close their ears, or all of a sudden we're talking about something totally different. And a lot of these cases that you've seen that involve young black men either getting arrested or getting killed, it doesn't matter what it's about. They always just assume that the black person is guilty until proven innocent, and the white person is innocent until proven guilty. And then when that person's proven guilty, oh, they're just a lone wolf. But if a black person is found guilty and we all agree that that person's guilty, it's the usual suspects, or all of them are like this. And again, this is a form of racism. Just because you all aren't saying the N-word anymore doesn't mean that you're not still racist. All right? It is what it is. But I get so tired of the hypocrisy. That's why I appreciate your David Dukes, your Klansmans, your skinheads, your Proud Boys, who literally just will say they're racist. They just walk the walk, talk the talk. Instead of people saying that everything's not about race, and then the same person will be on Facebook or TikTok saying the most racist stuff imaginable, comparing black people to monkeys, but oh, that's not racist. Come on, man. But I mean, in terms of Lindsey Graham, this is kind of what, to bring it full circle, I feel like what my issues have come to be with a lot of these conservatives that have literally just, they've had no choice but to, I mean, they've had a choice, but basically they feel like they've had no choice but to bow down to Donald Trump and just become one of his minions. It makes absolutely no sense. You have a choice to stick up for what you believe in. You have a choice to follow your moral compass and not waver, no matter what anybody says, no matter what anyone threatens you with. And that's why I get on this show and, I sit in the back of this van and I just say my piece, no matter what the repercussions may be, because I don't think I know the answers. I don't want to say that I'm right about everything, but there needs to be conversations. These conversations need to be had. And if you disagree with me, that's fine, but we can have a constructive dialogue. We can usually find some common ground. And so many people just think they have to do whatever Trump is saying right now. Whatever Trump says we're doing, that's what we're doing. If Trump says, hey, we want to get the Canadians out because XYZ, everybody's like, yeah, let's get them out. Illegal immigrants, okay. We can bring in the Africans that are white, but the Latinos that have been here, we want to get rid of birthright citizenship for them, the ones that have actually helped support this country and weren't taking handouts, unlike people that come from another country that they shouldn't have been in the first place. But again, you all can see that because that's basically how you got the United States of America. My issue is, and I'm going to end with this, if race is not a factor, then why is it that you all are still bothering us that are actually contributing to the economy? And I'm talking about the Latinos that don't speak English, the black people that are working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, and the small business owners like me that are doing their part and paying their fair share of taxes. Just because we're a different complexion, you all have issues with us, but we have an African immigrant trillionaire that you all are just supporting no matter what. Unless Trump says not to support him anymore, then it's like, okay, yeah, Elon Musk is crazy. And this is where our politics really need to just do a complete 180, because this makes no sense. This is not what we have politics for. This is not what we have government for. Government is there for the people. It's not there as a power play. But for whatever reason, that's just what it is now. And unfortunately, Lindsey Graham was, a big part of that. And we'll see what really happened to him over the next few days, over the next few weeks. And, the same thing with Mitch McConnell. We'll just have to figure out what's really going on in the Republican Party when it comes to their top dogs, I feel like. And Lindsey Graham wasn't really a top dog, but he was someone that was pretty well known in the political space. So, God bless his family. And I'll catch you on the next one.